Good afternoon, everyone. The today's topic that we are on that we discuss here is about the Sangam Age, and we will talk about the on the theme of the South Indian history, basically. And when we talk about the South Asian history, South Indian history, and it's the early historic period in Tamil country that witnessed a significant developments in a number of areas. One of the important contribution of this period was the composition of early Tamil texts, commonly known them as the Sangam literature. The other important characteristic of this period included the Indo-Roman trade, which became active from the first century AD onwards, and introducing and the continuing tradition of the megaliths, the early historic period, which is also called the Sangam Age. Sangam Age is generally placed between 5th century BC to 5th century AD. And we are particularly concerned with the cult of the hero worship in the context of this region. And in this region, the hero worship is primarily functioned as the cult and in their culture. So geographically, the ancient Tamil country was bounded by Venkatam, and that is the Tirupati hills in Andhra Pradesh. And in north, it existed in the north side, and the Kumari, the Kanyakumari or the Cape Comorin is the part of boundary of that region is existed in the south, and from east it is surrounded by the sea, and that is called the we known as the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea, and in west is the Arabian Sea. Thus, the ancient Tamil country covered the more modern state of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So here we discussed about the firstly the sources of the South Indian history, and when we talked about the sources, the first is the Sangam literature, and that is primarily functioned as the evidence of that period, which tells or helps in rewrite the South Indian history. The Sangam literature forms the main source of information for the early historic period. The literature derives its name from the Sangam period, where it is believed to have been composed or compiled. According to the Tamil tradition, there were three Sangam ages, and each extended over a period of thousands of years, and these Sangams were patronized. The Sangam perhaps functioned as an academy or assembly where a number of poets were present. The extent works which are attributed to the third Sangam age were compiled in the early medieval period. All the Tamil works that were produced in the first two Sangamas are said to have been lost. However, there is very little historical or linguistic evidence to prove the authenticity of this legend. It has also been stated that the term Sangam uh, is of very late origin. The the Sangam is very late. Sorry, I lost that track. The Sangam is of the very late origin, and the Sangam literature is the oral and it's the bardic literature of ancient Tamils. Most of the works were composed by the bards and poets who praised the kings and received their patronage in return. And there some favor and some kind of patronage in cash and kind, and land also included in the kind. They are also the emotional outpouring of the poets. The literature offers vital information for reconstructing the socio-economic and political history of early historic Tamil country. Though the situations in the poems were described according to poetic conventions, the conventions, or we can say the traditions. The poets have taken real life situations and happenings in the society for similes and metaphors and other quotes and symbols. Also, the symbols and quotes have hidden meanings which are not obvious. Careful analysis of these symbols and quotes can offer valuable information. These works are preserved mainly due to the efforts of the scholars, including UV Swaminath Iyer, and who collected the manuscript and published them in the modern period. And the major works produced during this era are grouped into Pathini Melonakku, the 18 major works, which is the 18 major works, and there are other the 18 minor works that are didactic, and the and it divided into the other two works, that is Itutokai and Pathupatu. So, beside these works, there is Tolakappiyam. Tolakappiyam is an ancient Tamil grammatical treatise, and it's also is very renowned for its grammatical work. There are five major Tamil epics, and which are as follows: the Shilpadikaram, or Manimekhlai, Shivak Chintamanai, Valaipati, and Kundalakeshi, which posted the Sangam Age. Among these, Shilpadikaram and Manimekhlai are the famous work, which is, you can say, the Ramayana and Mahabharat of northern India. The place of Mahabharat and Ramayana in northern India is very prominent, so as the Shilpadikaram and Manimekhlai in the South India. There are also five minor epics, and that is Yashodhara Kavyam, Chulamani, and Perun Kathai. The other is Nagkumar Kavyam and Nilkeshi, written by the Jain author. These are the Jaina's work. So let us talk about the Tolakappiyam. Tolakappiyam is the grammatical work. Tolakappiyam, the ancient extant Tamil grammar work, and was written by Tolakappiyar, a saint who was believed to be a disciple of the mythical sage Agastya. The Tolakappiyam lays down the rules and regulations for Tamil literature. Tolakappiyam is divided into three components. The first is the orthography, and the second part is about the etymology and syntax, and the third deals with the akam. Akam means the inner life, and the puram means the outer life, and prosody. The chronology of Tolakappiyam is debatable. Some scholars date it to around the beginning of the Christian era, while the others place it in the 5th century AD. And there is another work, that is 18 minor works, known as Pathine Mel Nakku, and it comprises Itu Tokai, that is 8 anthologies, and Patipattu, that is 10 idylls, which are the earliest Sangam works. Itutokai, the 18 anthologies, and the Itutokai is the collection of the 8 long and short poems, and Itutokai works are the Narinai. The general theme of Narinai is love, and it consists of 75 poets. And the Kuruntokai, and it is the short anthology, consists of 402 poems, and of five-fold landscapes. The fourth is Pattiru Pattu, the 10 tens, consist of 10 long poems and divided into 10 sections, and it is about the Puram work, praising the valor of the Chera kings. It is about the Chera kings, and the work is valuable for reconstructing the history of the early Chera rulers. Paripatal is a composition of devotional songs dedicated to deities such as Vishnu and Kartikeya. So it comprises in the Puram work. And Kalitokai, it consists of 150 stanzas, with most of the songs dealing with love theme, and the few songs are on moral values. So, Akana Nuru is it contains 401 stanzas of poems composed by nearly 145 poets. All the songs deals with the love theme. So, then eighth is uh, Purananuru, and it comprises of 400 heroic poems composed by 157 poets. So there are, we can say, we see the so many poets and poets along with the along with their poems also. And it comprises in the work of Ettu Tokai. The Ettu Tokai means the eight anthologies. So these are the eight anthologies. And the next work is Pathupattu. Pathupattu is about the 10 idols. The Pathupattu is a to Arupattai, the class which in which a bard and they are as follows. The Tirumurai Karupattai, a bard directs another to the abode of the Lord Muruga to acquire spiritual wealth. All important shrines of the Lord Murug are described in this work, and it is composed by Nakkirar. Nakkirar is the famous literature. And the second is Chola king Karikal. It was composed by sorry. The third is Chiruppa Narapatte of Naliakotan, a chieftain. Naliakotan is a chieftain, and while describing his kingdom, the work also portrays the capital cities of three major kingdoms, namely the Cheras, Cholas, and Pandyas. It was written by Nattatanara. And the fourth is Perumpanna Arupattai. This Arupattai is in praise of the ruler of Kanchi and written by the poet um, Urattira Kannar. Urattira Kannar. The administration of the city of Kanchi and its trading activity. The Canadians contain 103 lines as composed by Nupotanar, and this work deals with the Akam concept. Akam, which I earlier said, the longest of the 10 poems. This is it contains 782 lines. Marutanar praises the valor of the Pandya kings, and the Nettusalian and the describe in detail the trade. So it's basically about the Pandya. The seventh is named as Nettunel Vatai. This Puram work was written by Nakkirar in praise of Nettu Chelian, the Pandya ruler. So we can say that from the sixth poem, there is about the Pandya ruler praises. There are about the praises of Pandya rulers. So the eighth one is known as the Kurinchi Pattu. The Kapilar's work deals with the Akam concept, Akam, that inner world. So and the ninth is about the Pattina Pallai. In praise of the Chola ruler Karikal, this work was composed by Urattiran Kannanar, and this work deal with the trade relations between ancient Tamil countries and foreign countries. So the 10th and the last was the Malay Pattukatam. So it composed by the Perum Kochi Kanar. The work is an Arupattai directing the follow bard to the kingdom of Nannan. Here are the next is about the next is the Pathine Kil Kanakku. It's about the 18 minor works, and the 18 minor Kilkanakku works Melakanaku works. They show more in Melakanaku works. The impact of Jainism and Buddhism is also seen in these works, which mostly contain codes of conduct for kings and people. The Kelekanaku literature was composed in 4th and 5th century AD when the Tamil country was under the Kalabhra ruler. These works is Muppal or Tirukural. The 18 minor works are also as follows, which we didn't go in details, but we shortly name. These are Naladiyar, and the second is Nanmani, uh, Naranuru, sorry, Nanuru, and the fourth is Antenai Ilupathu, and fifth is Antenai Empathu. So sixth one is Tenai Malai Norambat Achar Kovai, eighth Tenai Moli Ambathu, ninth Muppal, that is also known as Tirukural, and tenth Tirika Kadugam, 11th is Chirupancham Mulam, 12th Kalivali Narpathu, and 14th Inna Narpathu, 15th Iniavai Narpathu, 16th Kenilai, and 17th Innilai, the 18th is Iladi. So these are the Sangam literature which existed and which evolved, and we can say uh, uh, written during the Sangam period. There are so many foreign accounts also existed regarding the Sangam history, and these are the periplus of Erythraean Sea, compiled in the first century AD, and it serves as an important source of Indo-Roman trade. The anonymous author of this work was a Greek merchant or sailor from Egypt, and we didn't, as we still didn't know about the whom whom this work was did by whom. And this work mentions about the major ports and towns in India during the early historic period, and also that items of the Indo-Roman trade. Accounts of the Roman writer, the Pliny the Elder, and which in 23 AD to 79 AD uh, are also useful for the investigating the Indo-Roman trade. Pliny speaks about the draining of the wealth of the Roman Empire due to the demand for spices, especially pepper in Rome, and these accounts are quite useful in knowing about the Indo-Roman trade. So Claudius Ptolemy is Geographia is another important source for Indo-Roman trade, and he was also a Greek. He lived in Alexandria, the Roman capital of Egypt, and was the head of the renowned library at Alexandria from 127 to 150 AD. Certain important information is also available in the Buddhist chronicles of Sri Lanka, namely Mahavansh and Deepvansh, which also directed about the King Ashoka, which we earliest not known as that there are any kind of any king named Ashoka existed in India, but the Mahavansh and Deepvansh chronicles tells about the Ashoka also, whether it is the another history. So We next we moved on to the archaeological materials. The archaeological evidence include megalithic burials or monuments, which are quite prominent feature of the South Indian history. And the second is about the coins and excavated sites, especially the urban centers. Megaliths are a class of burials or memorial monuments erected as a part of ancestral worship. The term megalith means large stone, large single stone, and sorry, large stone, not the single. The single stone is known as monolith. Since the monuments were made of large stones, they are called megaliths. The megaliths are common in the Tamil country. The dead were buried with grave goods like iron objects, black and red ware pottery, and beads and other materials. And sometimes the precious materials were also placed along with the remains of dead as offerings. Iron objects, especially weapons of offense, are found in large number in the burials. These burial types are as follows: the cairn, circle, the urn burials, the dolmens, numerous megalith sites have been excavated in Tamil country. Sanur, Mangalam, Kodumanal, and Porkalam and Mangadu are the few of them. So these are the which included in the archaeological materials. Included in archaeological materials are found in that helps found and that helps in rewrite the Sangam history. Habitation sites are, apart from the megalith burials, many habitation sites, especially urban centers and industrial sites, have been excavated in Tamil Nadu. These sites offer a lot of information about the early historic period. So, Vasavamudram near the mouth of the Palar, Kanchipuram on the bank of Palar, and the Arikamedu near Pondicherry, and the Kaveri Patam near the mouth of Kaveri, and Orayur on the bank of the Kaveri, Alangakulam near the mouth of Vagai, and Korakai near the mouth of the Tamrabarni River are the important excavated and early historic habitational site in the Tamil Nadu, and they give valuable evidence for the Indo-Roman trade and the towns of the Sangam Age. Bricks, as we know about the brick structure, pottery with the Tamil Brahmi inscriptions are important. Pottery with the Tamil and Brahmi inscriptions are important pottery from the from the Rome, and that is we all know the amphora that we found from the uh, Arikamedu, which is an important evidence to tells about the trade between the Greek and the uh, between the South Indian history to the other part of the world, and especially the Greek world, have been found in at these sites. These are the evidence have been found at these sites. So the excavated sites are only indirectly useful in determining the chronology of the Sangam literature. Next, we tells about the Tamil Brahmi script. And another category of the evidence is the Tamil Brahmi inscriptions found on the rock shelters carved with stone beds for the residence of Jain monks and on pottery. They serve as corroborative evidence for dating the literature. They have been found at several sites near Madurai and Karur. The inscriptions at Pugalur near Karur give information about the genealogy of the Chera rulers. So next, when we moved on to the coins, which is also an important evidence as an archaeological point of view, the coins of the early historic period have been found at many sites in Tamil Nadu. and they included coins of the Sangam Cheras, Cholas, and Pandyas also. Beside these local coins, the gold, silver, and copper Roman coins have also been found in large number from several other sites also. And most of the Roman coins hoards are concentrated in the Coimbatore region. Uh, Maybe it is the point of and it is the trade hub of that time. So this is attributed to the important role this region has played in the Indo-Roman trade. The when we talk about the chronology, so dating the Sangam literature has not been an easy task in the absence of specific evidence. As a result, there is no unanimous opinion among the scholars on the date of Sangam literature. Some scholars date it between the 3rd century BC and 5th century AD, while the others place it between the 1st century and 5th century AD. Some of the criteria used for dating the Sangam literature are as listed. As we firstly, we can say the based on the linguistic development of Tamil language used in Sangam literature, and works are dated between 2nd century BC to 3rd century AD. The second is the Tamil Brahmi inscriptions, which with similar individual names mentioned in the Tamil literature are dated from the 2nd century BC to 4th century AD. Third is based on the foreign accounts such as Periplus of Erythraean Sea, date the trading centers mentioned in the Sangam literature to the early centuries of Christian era. So the fourth is there are no reference of the Pallava rulers in the Sangam literature denotes a pre-Pallava chronology for the works. So although the broad time range of the entire corpus of Sangam literature can be easily fixed, the internal chronology is a problematic. So among the Sangam works, the text grouped under the the Pathinemel Kanakku are considered earlier than the Pathinekil text. Within the Pathinemilka Nakku and Ittutokai, with the exception of Kalitokai and Peripatal, was the earliest, and some of the Arupadai and literature is also dated to the early period. So these are the literature evidence, or these are the evidence which helps to rewrite the Sangam Age history. And now we move on to the regions and their cultures that associated with the Tamil society. And here we talked about the iconics in which the early Tamil society lived. And the first is the Tinai concept. The early Tamil had divided the Tamil country into 5 distinct ecological zones, and each zone having its own characteristics. And this each zone with its distinct characteristic is called Tinai. The concept of Tinai can be compared to the modern ecosystem approach adopted in the study of culture. The 5 Tinais are Kuranchi, Mullai, Marutam, Netal, and Palai. So then the Kuranchi is the mountainous zone, Mullai pastoral, Marutam is the riverine zone, and Netal is the coastal zone. Palai is the arid zone. These zonal classifications were adopted for the composition of poems. Besides, they are more or less reflected the actual ecological system of Tamil country. However, it should not be considered that the fivefold divisions were found as distinct units in reality. They were idealized landscapes, though such distinct units existed in some areas. Quite a few regions had overlapping of various Tenais, and Tulakapiyam refers to such as situation as Tenai Mayakam. So the study of this Tenai is important when we try to find the history of Sangam Age. It is an important part of Sangam Age history. So each zone or Tenai include the conduct code ascribed to the love situations, and that is Akam, as we earlier told, and war situations, that is known as Puram. The Tinais have distinct characteristic features, namely time, season, fauna, flora, avifauna, and occupations. In the composition of poems, the poets followed these conventions. While composing a poem and Marutam Tinai, the plants, animals, and the way of life seen in that zone are incorporated in the poems. While creating these conventions, the poets have visualized the way of life they saw in each Tinai and created the conventions. In actual life, the substance and various aspects of the life in these zones are very depending upon the landscape pattern. The Akam and Puram Tinais also reflect the predominant behavioral patterns among the people of each landscape, and it can concluded that these poems more or less reflect the ground reality, though it is quite possible that certain generalizations and exaggerations found their place. So after Tinai, not after Tinai, actually, let us discuss the five Tinais. The first is the Kuranji, which is the mountainous zone. The Kuranji landscape was the mountainous zone, and the people who lived in this zone are called Kuravan. The Kuravans are the hunter and gatherers, and the hunting and gathering was the main occupation here. And Muruga was the god of Kuranji, which who didn't know about the Muruga. Muruga was the Kartike, which Kartike known in the North Indian history. So here the Muruga was the god of Kuranji or mountainous zone. The characteristic of Kuranji landscape is the this is the Tenai zone or Kuranji, the mountainous zone named after a flower of the hilly region that is known as Kuranji. And so there are so many characteristics about that. Jackfruit and bamboo is the prominent flora, and when we talked about the fauna, the elephant and monkey and tiger also. Avifauna, peacock, parrot, settlement. When we talk about the settlement, they have a small settlement in their language. They called it Chirukuti. And the subsistence pattern, hunting of wild animals and gathering of honey and plant produce slash burn cultivation also existed there. And when we talk about the food or crops, the rice, pepper, and the tuber and honey are the main food. And the people of mountains are known as Kuravar or Kanavar and Vitar also. And the deity, as we earlier told, the Murug, the god of warfare. The code of conduct is the Akam, the and the clandestine meeting of the hero and the heroine, and this Akam is about the love poem, and it is also known as Punartal. So, and the second code of conduct is the Puram, the cattle fight lifting. Sorry, the cattle lifting. The next is about the Mulai, and Mulai is the pastoral zone. And when we talk about the Mulai, the pastoralist lived in this region, and animal husbandry was the main occupation, and the Vishnu was the god of this region. So, the season is about the winter and early rainy season is important. The flora is Indian laburnum and iron wood tree. Fauna is the cow, bull, sheep, goat, and deer. And the subsistence pattern is animal husbandry and small scale cultivation. Peoples are pastoralists and cowherds and shepherds, IR and Itayar. So the deity is Vishnu, and the code of conduct both important, the Akam and Puram. The second is Marutam. Marutam was the riverine zone, and farmers lived in this zone. And if the farmers lived in this zone, so on the basis of the Indian sacred literature, we can say that if Indra was the god of this region, and it is justified. So the flora of this region is the important flora of this region is mango tree, and the fauna. When we talked about the fauna, the buffalo, freshwater fish is important, and the people are the plowmen and agriculturists and villagers, which in the language of the Tamil, the language of the Sangam is Ulavar and Orar. The deity of the deity which is important in this region is Indra, and God, that is also known as god of rains. The code of conduct both are important in this region. Akam and Puram, the love quarrels due to heroes' infidelity, Utal, and the besieging the enemy's fort, Ulinai. The next is Netal. Netal was the coastal zone. The people who lived here were known as Parvata Vars, and Varuna was the god of this region, and fishing and salt mining were the main occupation. And the code of conduct Akam is bemoaning the lover's absence, and it is Iranakal, and Puram the battle, Tumpai. Next is the Palai. Palai was the dry semi-arid zone, or we can say the arid zone. As such, there is no desert land in ancient Tamil country. The landscape of the Kuranji and Mullai during the dry climate or in the time of the failure became the parched and resulted in the formation of Palai, and Koravai was the goddess of this and resulted in the formation of Palai land, and Koravai was the goddess of this region. Both code of conduct, the Akam is the separation of lovers in this region, Pirital, and the Puram victory, Vakai. Akam and Puram embedded in the concept of this on concept of the regions. The unique feature of the Sangam literature is the special place accorded to common man and woman. Uh, Most of the works deals with the day-to-day activities of common people who were immortalized in these poems, and the literature covers all the aspects of the human life under two categories, Akam and Puram. Akam indicates the inner life of the people, which encompasses the love feeling of the men and women, and Puram, on the other hand, deals with the outer life of the people with the emphasis on war, victory, and human values. There are three main components in the Akam concept, namely the Mutalporul, Karuporul, and Uriporul. The Mutalporul or the primary element denotes spaces and time of action. The Karuporal or the principal element indicates the natural elements belonging to the particular landscape, like deity, food, flora, fauna, economic activities. The Uriporal or the human element denote the human emotions and feelings that are appropriate to the aspect of Mudal and Karu. There are five corresponding thinais for Akam situations, and these five thinais are Kuranji. In the Kuranji, the code of conduct for Akam is clandestine, the meeting of the hero and heroine, that is known as Purantaral. In Murai, the patient waiting on the part of the wife for the return of her husband from a journey, and known as Iruttal. The third Marutam, the love's quarrel due to hero's infidelity, known as Uttal. And in the fourth portion, the separation of lovers, Pirital. And in the fifth, the bemoaning the lover's absence, that is Irankal. So, when we talked about the Puram, there are also two additional situations in Akam poetry, namely the Purantatinai and mismatched lover, the Kekillai, or unrequited love. The Puram codes for the five Tinais are theft on their cattle. The Mulai, the invasion, Vanji, Marutam besieging the enemy's fort, Ulinai, and Netal, the battle, Tumpai, and the Palai victory, Vakai. The two additional Tinais of the Puram concept, namely the Kanchi and the Purview, the human values and ethics in the life. So these are the sources which deals or helps in the rewrite of Tamil or sorry, the Sangam Age history. So after the literature, we move to the polity of that particular region. What kind of polity? So the political formation of the Sangam age were in the preliminary stage. There were no major empire, but only three large kingdoms ruled by Ventars, the crowned kings, and the many chieftains, the Valirs, who controlled small territories like Jamidars in North India. The Cheras and Cholas and Pandyas were the Moventars, or the three major kings who controlled large territories and ruled independently. The Moventars performed Vedic sacrifices, example Rajsuyas, to legitimize their kingship. There are references to these monarchs in the Ashokan inscriptions as follows: the Pandyas and Keralputas. The Ashokan inscriptions also mentioned Satyaputtas, who are identified with the rulers of Tagadur region, the Dharmapuri region in western Tamil Nadu. And the Ventars and the chieftains frequently fought among themselves for supremacy. While a few of chieftains were independent, others were aligned with one of the Moventars. The history of Sangam Cheras is gleaned from Pateruputtu, a work of 8 anthologies. The Pugalur Tamil Brahmi inscription of early centuries of the Christian era also refers to the genealogy of Chera rulers. The Cheras ruled over most part of Kerala and western Tamil Nadu from Vanchi and Karur. The Vanji is identified with the modern Karur near Tiruchirappalli, and some scholars identify it with Kodungalur near Thrissur and in Kerala. The Mujris near the mouth of Periyar was the famous port of the Cheras and throughout the time. And Senguttuvan was the prominent ruler of this dynasty, and he was a contemporary of Gajbahu of Sri Lanka. And the bow and arrow was the emblem of the Cheras. The Cholas ruled over the Kaveri Delta. Their capital was situated at Urayur, and they also had another capital at Puhar, Kaveri Pattanam, and which also acted as a port city. Karikal was the famous king of this dynasty, and who is said to have destroyed all his enemies at a very young age, and also credited with the building of a dam or bund across the river Kaveri. And there were other rulers such as Nedunkili, and the tiger was their emblem. The tiger was the emblem of Cholas. So the Pandyas are considered to be the next is Pandyas. They are considered to be the earliest rulers of the Sangam age. There are many references to Pandyas in literature sources such as Ramayanas. In the Ramayana, the Mahabharata and Arthashastra and the account of Megasthani's on also. They ruled over the southern Tamil country, and according to legends, they patronized the poets of the Sangam age. Their capital was at Madurai, and Korikai was their port city. Neduchelian was the famous ruler of this dynasty, and who is said to have defeated the Aryan ruler. And their emblem was the fish. So there were numerous chieftains like Ori Karai, Pari, Ateman, and Nalliakotan, and there are prominent. So we named them here, and we named here there were frequent battles between the Cheras and the Pandyas. tends to control territories and to collect booty. The collected booty was redistributed by the chief among the followers, and the others. And some of the chieftains were powerful and received tributes from other states. Um, the chieftains also fought with the Ventars, and for example, the Peri of the Punjab fought for their Ventars. So in a skeleton kind of, and when we saw that the nature and the culture intervened to shape the early Tamil society here, and the cult of the hero worship is also manifested in this society. We also study about the eco zones. We rolled an important factor in the development of the the Sangam history is the Sangam society and the literature of the Sangam. So after this, when we talked about the other part of the the important literature of the Sangam age is the Silpadikaram or Mani Mekhle. So the Silpadikaram, I would like to discuss about this uh, book, and it consists of the Silpadikaram means the song of the anklet by Ilanko Vitikal, the Prince Ascetic, and it consists of 30 cantos arranged in three books. The outline of the story is as follows. Uh, there was a merchant, the son of a wealthy merchant named Kovalan, and Kovalan and Kanagi are a young and happily married, and his wife name is Kanaki, and they are a happily married couple and living in Puhar region. So Kovalan falls in love with a beautiful courtesan named Madhavi, and Avandans, his wife. He eventually returned home after quarreling with Madhavi, and Kanagi welcomes him back and offers him her golden anklet to raise some money. They travel to Madurai, in the capital of the Pandya kingdom, and accompanied by a Jain nun named Kavundi. Kovlan goes off to sell his wife's anklet. He is accused of so when he sailed his wife's when he sold his wife anklet, he is accused of stealing the queen's anklet because the anklet is so beautifully carved and so beautifully made, and it is an antique piece of that time. So which looks just like Kanagi's, and it is and her husband executed. So when Kanagi listened this when Kanagi listened this news, she is devastated, and she proves her husband's innocence by busting open her other anklet, and it contains a ruby, whereas the queen's was filled with pearls. The king who had executed a man unjustly dies on remorse, and his wife dies of grief. And Kanagi uh, tears off her left breast and hurls it onto the city in fury, and Madurai is engulfed in flames. And Kanagi joins her husband in heaven. On earth, she comes to be worshipped as the ideal wife. And Jewelry points out that the epic complex treatment of guilt and evil is one of its strength. So there are its multi-layered characters with human flaws and frailties, which evolves as the story progresses. The anklet has an important symbolism. And the Kanagi wears her anklet in the beginning of the story. When she is happy, she removes them after she is abandoned by Kovalan. The anklet is the cause of Kovalan's tragic end and the symbol of the truth, which ultimately proves his innocence. When Kanagi is united with her husband in heaven, she again wears both her anklets. Although the epic no doubt catered to an elite educated audience, it tells us a great deal about the lives of ordinary people of that time. So there are a next part of the same epic, and that is known as the Money the means of the money maker was the jewel belt, and it is the continuation part of is it is the series second series of that part, we can say, in that time. Mm, the money maker of Satyanar, who wrote this epic, consists of 30 cantos and a preamble. So the outline of the story of Money Meklai is there was a prince, Uday Kumar, who is in love with Mani Meklai, who is not in, and Mani Meklai was not interested in him because she wanted to renounce the world and become a Buddhist nun. In order to escape the attention of the prince, the Mani Meklai assumes the form of a woman named Kaya Chandikai. She distribute food to the needy people of Madurai using a magic arms bowl. The husband of the real Kaya Chandikai sees Mani Meklai with the prince and kills him in a fit of jealousy. Feeling of jealousy, and Mani Meklai is put in prison, where she survives many ordeals to which she is subjected, and realizing that she is a saintly person. After realizing that, the queen begs forgiveness and sets her free. So Manimekle eventually reaches Kanchi, and where a famine is raising, and feeds the poor with her magic arm bowl, and she ultimately fulfills her heart's desire by joining the Buddhist Sangha. So the Manimekla is often considered somewhat inferior to the Shilpadikaram in terms of its formal literary features, while the Shilpadikaram has a Jaina flavor, according to historians, and Manimekla has a strong, strident Buddhist tone. So its characters are either good or bad with few shades of grey, and the narratives is marked by many more miracles and supernatural interventions, and the Kanagi cult, also known as the cult of Kanagi and Kanagi Madurai, and is a Tamil cult that originated during the Sangam Age in ancient India, and it is based on the legendary figure of Kanagi, a chaste woman who lived in the ancient city of Madurai, and is revered as a goddess by Tamil people. According to Tamil literature, Kanagi was the wife of Kovalan, a wealthy merchant who had an affair with courtesan named Madhavi. When Kovalan returned to Kanagi, he found that all his wealth had been stolen by the king's men, who had mistaken him for a thief. Kanagi and Kovalan went to the king's court to seek justice, but the king was not willing to hear their plea. In a fit of rage, Kanagi tore off her left breast and threw it at the king's court, cursing the city of Madurai and causing it to the burst into flames. The king realized his mistake and died of shame, and the city was eventually restored to its former glory. And the story of Kanagi has been immortalized in the Tamil epic Silpadikaram, which dates back to the second century AD, and mm, second century, and the cult of Kanagi is believed to have been originated during the Sangam Age, which lasted from 3rd century BC to 3rd century AD. And it has been a significant part of Tamil culture ever since. So today, the cult of Kanagi is still alive and well in Tamil Nadu, where she is worshipped as a goddess of chastity and justice. Her temples are also found in various parts of Tamil Nadu, and her annual festival known as Kanagi Thirunal is celebrated with great pomp and splendor. And A.K. Ramanujan In a Tamil epic, Silpadikaram observed that the epic can be viewed as a story of Kanigi becoming the Idos or the goddess of faithful wives, and Adikal was concerned with the introduction of the new cult, the cult of worshipping the chaste woman, and they also state that the cult has now been absorbed into the Hinduism by identifying Kanigi with Bhagavati, and it is Elango who cultivated it as an independent cult in Tamil Nadu. The most important aspect of the epic is that the author strived to represent and link a number of different values and aspirations in the symbol of God of chastity. Apart from the depiction of the biographies and the orientations of the central characters, the epic is a documentation of Hindu world view and ethos of the Tamils. The author of the epic stressed the solidarity of the Tamils by presenting the different episodes of the epic as having occurred in three different Tamil kingdoms. So, meanwhile, Sengutuvan, one of the greatest ruler of Chera lineage, embarks on a campaign to bring down stones from the Himalayas on the shoulders of the conquered Aryans that were used for constructing the Bhagavati shrines that can still be visited in Kodungalur. Changutvan is credited with establishing the Patni cult that treats Kannagi as the ideal wife and still has its follower in that parts of South India and Sri Lanka. So this is the literary history of Sangam Age, and these are the sources for rewrite the Sangam Age literature. In the next part, we talked about the polity of the Sangam period. So when we talked about the polity of the Sangam period in a large and described manner, so any questions regarding this lecture? If you have, then comment in the comment section. You can comment here. Any questions from any viewer or listener? Okay, you can write your question here also. We can answer it afterwards. And the I would like to say that there are so many assignments and quizzes also regarding the lectures of this series of value added course. So when we arranged the systems about the assignments and quizzes, we will let you know. So please ready for the if you're ready for your assignments and quizzes, also the participants and the viewers also can participate from now on, and we will give you the certificates afterwards, the e-certificates. So okay, have a great day, and thank you, thanks a lot.